Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind is blowing. March had record high temperatures.
A convenient and sensational media label has once again hurt the nation's beef industry.
In southern gardening, the Indian hawthorn. This flowering shrub is a great foundation plant that also feeds wildlife.
In the market, some grain numbers in Tuesday's crop report surprised traders as the cattle sector deals with both a demand problem and a supply problem.
In the feature segment, some would call it dangerous, but it has quite the opposite effect. The 4-H shooting sports program teaches discipline, safety, and fun to Mississippi's young people.
As they get older and as they progress.
I'm the oldest girl, so I have to be responsible for all my siblings, and even just going to practices and trying to be a leader and encouraging people when things aren't going right and you're not hitting the target, being able to encourage them and help them even if you can't tell them what they're doing wrong. So there's definitely leadership skills.
Good day, everyone. I'm Amy Taylor.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
You knew already, and the federal government confirmed it this week.
Well, Amy, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says the month of March was the warmest ever for the United States. More than 15,000 temperature records were broken during the month. We'll tell you about Mississippi in a moment. The average temperature for the lower 48 states was 51.1 degrees. That's almost 9 degrees above the 20th century average for March. You have to go back 102 years to find the previous warmest March. 25 states recorded their warmest March on record. Alaska was not as fortunate. It recorded its 10th coldest March on record. Mississippi was one of those states recording its warmest March. No other March was warmer in 118 years of record keeping. Looking at our neighbors, Arkansas and Tennessee also had their warmest Marches on record. Alabama posted its second warmest March, Louisiana its third.
A Mississippi State University meat scientist says the cost of lean ground beef could go up significantly due to recent media reports. Byron Williams, assistant extension and research professor, says the unflattering and misleading reports have cast a shadow over established practices that make ground beef products healthier and safer. Some ground beef processors have been forced to shut down, resulting in the loss of jobs and damage to the beef industry. Known in the industry as lean, finely textured beef, Williams says the media's pink slime nickname wrongfully characterizes it as unhealthy. I spoke with Williams last week about the situation. Okay, so going right into our discussion about pink slime in lean, finely textured beef, Byron, tell me, what is the basis of concern for ground beef and the press that it's been receiving lately?
Recently, Amy, this particular product, lean, finely textured beef, has come under fire, and the media and some individuals, which those of us in the industry has played, that was used to play on the sensationalism, was used to play on the emotions of the people, and it was based on unfounded charges within those particular segments.
Looking at the pink slime, what is the real truth about this connected with ammonium hydroxide in the ground beef?
Amy, the product itself, lean, finely textured beef, is manufactured from beef trimmings, which is the same that are used to make ground beef, but that they undergo a patented approved process and have been for almost 2 decades that actually mildly heats the trimmings, goes through a centrifugation process to spin off the fat, leaving the lean, finely textured beef product. It is then goes through a process with the ammonium hydroxide, which is in the form of a gas Those compounds are safe and have been used for years and are approved in other food products as well. But they are used to combat the microbes or the pathogens that may be present in the product.
Like E. coli?
Like E. coli, Salmonella, Listeria, the others. And it has done a wonderful job reducing the pathogens that are incorporated or could be incorporated in the product.
And of course, a company went bankrupt because of this, and many jobs have been lost. Are there any real concerns for safety, and what's going to be the outcome?
No real concerns of safety from my standpoint and other meat scientists across the country, because it is totally approved process. They're natural ingredients, the ammonium hydroxide. We produce ammonium and hydroxide in our bodily systems, and they are used, as I said, as antimicrobials. The outcome is going to be reduced jobs. Already 700 people are without jobs in these manufacturing facilities, and ultimately the consumers are going to pay more at the store level for their ground beef, and producers are going to receive less for their animals.
Are you interested in a tough foundation shrub that will fit in almost anywhere? In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman says we need to take a look at the Indian hawthorn.
It's spring, and all over Mississippi, azaleas are beginning their colorful show. Another spring blooming shrub that's not as flashy as azaleas is the Indian hawthorn. Indian hawthorn is one of those hard-working shrubs that solidify foundation plantings around our homes and landscapes. This shrub is one of those tough plants that will tolerate a wide variety of landscape conditions. When planted in the full sun, this is perhaps the perfect evergreen shrub for our home landscapes. The fact that Indian hawthorn has multi-season interest only adds to the reasons to have in your landscape. In the spring, the star-shaped flowers start as pinkish buds. The white flowers emerge in clusters held loosely at the ends of the branches. The center structures, pistil and stamens, are reddish, and this matches the color of the newly unfolding leaves. Fruit are produced that have an attractive blue to black color. These will ripen in late summer and fall and will persist through the winter months into spring. These berries are a good food source for many of our wildlife species. The evergreen foliage is thick and is leathery to the touch. The foliage emerges light green with red tinges and is a lustrous dark green in the summer months. The leaf margins have a soft, variable serrated edge. Indian hawthorn tolerates pruning especially well, but always wait until after flowering in the spring to shape. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says Indian hawthorn can be trained into a hedge or even a small tree. It's originally from southern China. In the feature segment, 4-H Shooting Sports, this program teaches self-discipline and self-confidence by using firearms and archery. Time now for the markets with Artis Ford.
And of course, Leighton Spann not with us this evening, but as we look forward, a big surprise in one sector from Tuesday's USDA reports. John Michael Riley will have our analysis in just a moment. Also this week, the European Union's energy policy may hurt U.S. soybean prices. The break in cattle the first week of April may have run its course, and U.S. pork exports continue to grow. Many private analysts had expected Tuesday's supply and demand report update from the government to show tighter stocks of corn and soybeans. There was a big surprise in corn. Extension ag economist John Michael Riley joined Leighton Spann in the studio a few hours after the report's release to discuss the new numbers.
Let's begin by talking about corn, what this supply and demand update said, and why that kind of caught the market by surprise.
Well, the release of the World Ag Supply and Demand this morning said that corn, ending stocks, production, supply use, no changes across the board there. 801 million bushels of carryover from this year to the next year, which was what they projected last month. The market was looking for that number to be a little over 700 million bushels. So it really did surprise the market. We've seen it nearby contracts down pretty hard, more deferred contracts not quite as bad, but it did take traders by the market by surprise. surprise, especially given the grain stocks report that we got a little over a week ago that showed grain on hand in elevators across the country that was lower than many expected. So I think there was a consensus that we have been burning through more corn than was expected, which would pull this ending stocks number down, and it just didn't show up in today's report.
So there are surprises sometimes, despite today's accurate reporting. What about soybeans? Let's look at those now. What did this new supply and demand number say?
Well, it did pull, the report dropped soybean ending stocks by about 25 million bushels from 275 to 250. The market was looking for that number to be about 246. So no huge surprise on the soybean front. Grain stocks report, again, kind of similar story there. No big surprise in regard to soybeans. The market is down a little bit today as a result of corn, just some spillover there. So overall, soybeans didn't really have quite the punch that corn did. Going back even further, look at acreage. I think that both of these markets have been fighting for acreage. Corn acreage came in much higher than expected, higher than even the highest pre-report estimate. Soybeans were down. Those markets have been traveling in that type of same slopes ever since.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me ask you, cotton planting. I mean, will this situation, what we see in these numbers, is that likely to impact cotton planting as we move forward here?
Well, if you look at corn plantings in the state, 80% planted, soybeans a little 57% planted. Both of those are above average. Nationally, corn plantings are above average. It's going to be hard to really, make a switch gears this fast, especially given where we are at with plantings. It could happen, though. I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be totally shocked if it did. But I doubt it's going to be any huge acreage switch shifts as a result of today's report or last week's report.
The second largest market for U.S. soybean exports is putting up a roadblock of sorts as far as soy biodiesel. The European Union's renewable energy policy excludes all biodiesel from U.S. soybean oil. The Europeans dispute Chekhov-funded research that shows that the fuel reduces greenhouse gas emissions by over 35%. One study estimates that the action by the EU could actually decrease U.S. soybean prices by as much as 35 cents per bushel in the future. The American Soybean Association is working to have the EU's energy policy amended. Well, on a more positive note for renewable fuels, E15 ethanol is another step closer to reaching the market. The EPA has approved the first applications for registration of the blend. The mixture of E15 ethanol and 85% gasoline could be used only in vehicles made in 2001 and after. Proponents of E15 note that the price difference between wholesale ethanol and wholesale gasoline have been averaging over $1 a gallon recently. Well, it's time to look at this week's trivia question on Farm Week. Let's see how well you know the various tools involved in agriculture. Well, a dibble bar is used in which agriculture sector? Is the answer aquaculture or forestry or a cotton gin or for tractor repair? I'll tell you just a bit later.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second part of the markets. Artist Ford reports there's a break in cattle prices while China is buying pork. In the feature segment today, 4-H Shooting Sports. It's a youth building program that uses unlikely tools.
I've got a lot of choices to make in the coming years, and I really want to make sure that I get it all right. I want to discover who I am, where I belong, what my dreams are. I want to find my hidden talents and see where those skills can take me in the future. I need leadership given today to help me make the right decisions tomorrow. And I have that with Mississippi 4-H.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farmweek calendar. Can I Still Make Money Growing Trees is a Mississippi State University Extension Service forestry workshop. It will be held on 2 dates. The hours are from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. You'll learn about the timber market outlook and where to find government cost share assistance. And that's Tuesday, April 17th. The location is the Senior Citizen Building on Highway 98 in Lucedale. Thursday, June 28th, the workshop moves to the East Mississippi Electric Power Association office on Highway 39 North at Meridian. Mississippi State University will hold its second beef cattle boot camps on Friday. Among these, you'll learn about developing heifers and bulk purchasing of inputs. The boot camp will be held Friday, April 20th at Mississippi State University's White Sands Unit at Poplarville. The hours are 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now let's check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Well, what appeared to be more market stability for the cattle sector this week seems to be fading. Instead, DTN reports that the pressure is back on as we produce this segment. Analyst Alan Brugler says he doesn't blame the entire break in cattle prices on the recent controversy over lean, finely textured beef that's made national headlines.
I think the problem is that we've got carcass weights are built up. We're about 25 pounds a head versus a year ago, heavier. So we're putting out more beef. We're getting into some bigger cattle numbers from all the cattle that were placed last summer that off of the Southern Plains drought. Those are all starting to come out of the feedlots. And basically, when we get the wholesale prices up in the $190 range per 100 pounds, we have a hard time selling it to consumers. So we've got a demand problem, we've got a supply problem. The board's reflecting that.
The USDA says a large trade trip it hosted to China in late March was an overall success. Of course, the U.S. pork sector is one area of agriculture that's already doing well in China. Exports to China, a developing market, soared nearly 200% last year. Analyst Steve Meyer of Paragon Economics in Iowa believes that rising standards of living are a factor in the booming export market.
The growing middle class. Pork is the meat of choice in China. It's a staple in their diet. And they had some production problems. They've had production problems for some time, especially with some disease losses that has increased the price of pork there. The government was very interested in trying to control price inflation, and so they were open to more exports.
Meyer adds that any percent increase across 1.3 billion Chinese people is good news for U.S. hog producers. Just before the feature story, here is the answer to the trivia quiz. It's B, forestry. A dibble bar is used to plant tree seedlings.
In today's feature story segment, 4-H shooting sports. More than 300,000 young people in the United States and Mississippi participate in this growing program. Here in Mississippi, 4-H volunteers work tirelessly at teaching young people how to safely operate firearms and archery equipment. The 4-H youth also develop life skills, learn about facing challenges, and have fun at the same time. The young people say they are grateful to 4-H shooting sports for providing opportunities to set goals and strive for achievement. This story first aired on Farm Week last September. Many young people in 4-H shooting sports might not be able to tell you exactly why they love it so much. Perhaps it's the thrill of that first bullseye, or the camaraderie of learning good sportsmanship, or the feeling of encouragement from instructors. Either way, Mississippi State University Extension Service 4-H Youth Development Specialist and Shooting Sports Coordinator John Long says the experience is about more than just learning to shoot a gun.
4-H shooting sports is more than just shooting a gun or shooting a bow. We use that as a vehicle to get that young person into the program and to teach youth development. Young people in 4-H shooting sports learn several of the life skills just like they would in any other 4-H program, such things as self-discipline, responsibility, good sportsmanship, and that's just to name a few.
In addition, Long says the sport can improve focus, coordination, and interpersonal communication skills. Currently, Mississippi 4-H has about 800 volunteer shooting sports instructors ages 21 and up. Instructors must be certified, which involves an intense 2-day training in the discipline or disciplines they wish to teach. These disciplines include air pistol and air rifle, 22 pistol and 22 rifle, shotgun, muzzle loader, and recurve and compound archery. Additionally, Long emphasizes the most important part of being a 4-H shooting sports volunteer instructor.
I always say that you don't have to be an expert in the use of firearms or archery equipment. We're going to give you those skills that you need, But what we ask is that you have a passion for youth and you have a passion to help young people.
In addition to youth development, Long says parents can rest assured that individuals are taught in a safe environment fitting to age and ability.
We don't put a shotgun in the hands of an 8-year-old. We start them out slowly, and as they get older and as they progress, then we move to other disciplines.
Once shooters develop their skills, there are opportunities to compete at the county level and then work all the way up to the national level. In fact, Mississippi 4-H Shooting Sports National Team took 6th place overall at the 2011 National Invitational. Anna, Maggie, and Abby Thompson of Starkville have found their passion in archery and have each competed on the state level in previous years. The girls are happy to share their experiences in 4-H shooting sports and what the program has taught them.
A lot of times with archery, you're with a lot of other people and you're all shooting the same thing and you're all shooting together, and it's more casual. It's not as much of a one person up there doing it by themselves. I'm the oldest girl, so I have to be responsible for all my siblings, and even just going to practices and trying to be a leader and encouraging people when things aren't going right and you're not hitting the target, being able to encourage them and help them even if you can't tell them what they're doing wrong. So there's definitely leadership skills.
You have to be responsible because with a compound bow, you have a lot of things that you have to take care of, and you can't just 4-H is over, stick your bow in the case and leave it, somewhere. You have to, get it out every few months, wax your strings, make sure everything's in the proper place. You have to keep up with your stuff and not lose it. There's a lot of younger people in our county who have just recently started the past year, and I think it's fun just teaching them just pretty much, what I learned 4 years ago, just the basics. And, you have to be careful about being prideful about it. That's another thing I've learned from it. You can't teach them with this attitude of, I know what I'm doing here and you don't.
In the future, Maggie hopes to give back by becoming a certified instructor. Her sister Abby talks about the challenge of shooting recurve in archery and qualifying for the 2011 State Invitational.
The recurve, you have to know a lot more yourself on where to aim because you don't just use sights. You have to train yourself to be the sight. You have to know where to aim, how far above the target, how much below the target you have to aim. So it's a lot to know, and you have to really know a whole lot to do it, and you learn a lot from doing it. And I went to state, and it was even more fun than what I thought. So it was so much fun and it's really helped me with my people skills because I'm not shy, but I'm more of a quiet person. So it really helps being in 4-H, being able to talk to people and get more involved and know how to communicate.
Abby says shooting sports have also brought her closer to her siblings. Her sister Anna says their father Johnny is joining them in the program by becoming a certified instructor himself in 2011.
This year he actually just a couple weeks ago got certified as a archery instructor so that he could be able to instruct us at home, and he would be able to know a lot more about it instead of just learning from us and then knowing. He got first-hand information to be able to help us and instruct us.
The Thompsons say they're grateful for parents, instructors, 4-H agents, and volunteers who work tirelessly at making shooting sports a great experience. An exciting addition to 4-H shooting sports is the reestablishment of hunting into the program. Chad McCormick talks about what was taught at hunting instructor training.
We had, identifying animals, animal tracks, where there's safe shots if you're shooting up a hill or down in a gully, if it's safe to do, and also using the tree stands safely, how to properly put them up, take them down, safety harnesses, just everyday common sense safety stuff.
Following certification, McCormick plans to start a 4-H hunting group for his community. MSU 4-H agent and hunting instructor Lionel Hines explains why he's excited about teaching hunting activities to the new instructors.
I smile about it because I enjoy doing this so much. I mean, it's wonderful. I know when I talk with someone and I teach them what I know about it, I know I have helped someone better their life skills. It teaches them a little more respect and gives them a little self-discipline. it teaching them to teamwork, to rely on others. It just motivates me to know that this has come out for our young people in 4-H.
Another perk to 4-H shooting sports is you don't have to own land, live in the country, or even be an avid hunter to get involved. Mississippi State University Extension Service 4-H leaders and volunteers are dedicated to providing locations and tools young people need to enjoy a sport that's helped shape so many lives. I'm Amy Taylor reporting. You can watch this story again on our Farm Week website, our Facebook page, or YouTube. The website address is farmweek.msucares.com. We will also have links and phone numbers to help you get started in shooting sports with Mississippi 4-H. If you're not from Mississippi, check with your state's 4-H program. Many are involved in the shooting sports program nationwide. Our website is farmweek.msucares.com. And Artis, of course, national shooting sports team has Mississippi has had a national shooting sports team in the past, and this year is their first time to participate in the hunting discipline, and that'll be in June of this year.
And we wish them good luck.
Absolutely.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, Mississippi's forest industry is building a Habitat for Humanity house in Meridian.
All segments of the industry, from those who harvest the trees to those who make building supplies, are helping. They're not only donating supplies, they're giving of their time as well.
We'll also take you back to March 8th and the National Ag Day festivities at the State Farmers Market in Jackson, Mississippi.
In Southern Gardening, find out how simple ideas can have a big impact in small spaces.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Amy Taylor. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.